Hey, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. We've got a nice little crew of people rolling in here. I'm going to give it just a few minutes and let all the attendees come in. Do want to do a little bit of an introduction here in just a little bit. But if you don't mind, you've got a couple of different areas in here, one of which is going to be the chat area, if you will. And let me see here. Let me turn on Q&A for you guys as well. So you've got two areas that we want you to use today. If you have any questions for us, please put those in the Q&A area. My teammates, Rafal and Miradul, are here to help with questions. And if there's anything that they think would be useful on this live webinar for me to answer, I'll also answer it that way. But we want any questions that you have to be put in the Q&A area. And then if you have anything to just talk about, let's put that in chat. I won't be monitoring chat and our team won't. But if you want to, meet the other people that are here, let's go ahead and start this way. So if you don't mind, in that chat area, if you would, maybe put how many properties you've got and where you're located, just so we can kind of get a little feel for you. Who knows, maybe you find somebody in the webinar that's kind of close to your area and can, be somebody that you can chat with, a new friend, so to speak. All right, but give us just a moment and we will get started up. Look through these names real quick and see if I recognize anybody. I'm not recognizing any names, but I will say there is a Joey Geronimo in here, and that might be the coolest name I've ever heard of. So if that is your actual name, that is incredible. If it's not your actual name, great nickname. Let's just give it a few more minutes and then we will get started up. Michael, we will be recording this. We'll send it out afterwards. It usually will take about 24 hours for that to process, but we will definitely get that for you. And awesome name, Joey. You are blessed in the name, that's for sure. All right. Well, it looks like the slow trickle is starting to happen now. So if anybody else comes in here in the next little bit, they may miss out on a little bit of the introduction stuff, but I think we'll be good with this. So today we are looking at PriceLab's Report Builder, which is one of our newest tools. It's super helpful for anybody that's dealing with a little bit more of a complex setup. Maybe you've got, multiple properties and multiple areas, and you want to have some insights that you can look at very easily and very quickly. Report Builder is perfect for you. We like to say your data your way, and the easiest ways for you to get insights inside of PriceLabs. One moment. So a little bit about myself. I'm your host today. I'm Kyle Driscoll. I'm a senior solutions consultant with PriceLabs. I typically work with United States-based customers that are on the larger property manager side. So usually about 250 plus. I'm a former revenue manager for a very large company in the United States. Personally priced around, on average between 600, 700 units at a time, kind of all over the place as well. I was a customer before I joined PriceLabs, and I just really love the tool and so happy with where we've started taking it since I've joined the team. This Report Builder is one of those tools that when I was doing revenue management, oh man, I would have absolutely died to have had this as easy as I could in my tool. A lot of large customers will have like their own BI, their own analytics type of stuff. We do, revenue managers are going to be using their key data, their AirDNAs, and all of that as well. But PriceLabs is trying their best to get in here and make sure that you can really analyze your properties and your business as best as possible. A little bit extra about myself. I do host our RevLabs by PriceLabs podcast, which I think it's up here. My pen's not showing, but you can see my RevLabs logo up here. So if you're not familiar with that, listen to us, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere there. And then we also do for our smaller property managers and for our hosts or new people into PriceLabs, we have what's called a Masterclass, which is just the simple basics training. And I'm very happy to be a part of that as well. So that's enough about me. Do have my teammate Rafal, who is one of our great product specialists. He'll be here to answer any questions you have. And then Miradul is also one of my teammates that's here as well. He's solely responsible for building out this webinar. He's on our marketing team and does a great job. All right. So today we're going to figure out how you can get more insights in PriceLabs by using this report builder. And we're going to look at three key areas, really. The first one is going to be using the ready-made reports that we have. In these reports, we talk to revenue managers, we talk to our internal teams, and we said, what are some of the things that people really want to see? And what are some of the most common use cases? So we're going to look at some of these ready-made reports that we have and talk about who can use those and when they're, kind of the best use case scenario. Then we're going to spend some time and look at how you can customize these reports. Price Labs has so much inside of it for you in terms of data points, whether it's ADR for yourself, for your market. There's so much there for you. And if you take the time to build out one of these customized reports, you can really have some crazy good insight. The third thing that we're going to talk about is our AI report chatbot that we have currently in beta right now. We're going to be granting access to current customers over the next couple of weeks. But we do want to look at that as well, just so you can see how simply you're going to be able to analyze some of this or analyze some of these reports with that AI chat. So let's move along real quick and let's talk about some of these ready to use templates. Now, I don't want to spend a ton of time here, but ideally what we've done is we've put together 4 of the best templates that you could use. Think of it as high use cases. These are pre-designed with specific filters for you to use if you want to, but it's completely built out. And if you want to deviate from it, it's as easy as moving a simple button. Then you take that ready to use template and basically make it a custom one. So let's go ahead and get started by looking at some of these templates. The first one I want us to talk about is the revenue on the books template. This is going to give you a big bird's eye view, clear snapshot of how you're performing monthly and occupancy, RevPAR, total revenue as well. This really helps you stay on top. And this is one of those things that you would want somebody that's not necessarily in there, pulling the levers of revenue management seeing, but more of a top level view. So let's take a look over here. This is what our revenue on the books report looks like. Now, hopefully everything can be seen on here and it's nice and big and bold. If it's not, please put something in the Q&A asking me to zoom in or whatever. And Miradul, if you'll grab me on that one, I would appreciate it. But basically what we're looking at here, we've selected that we want to see how is my company performing this year. So we're looking January 1st through December 31st of 2025. This box right here, you have so many different filters that you can go through and drop down. So if you want to see what it looks like over the past 30 days or the next 30 days or the next 90 days, I would say come in here, hit the stay date range and look at all the options that you have for great insight. This one in particular, though, we're looking at this year, and I'm kind of keying in on all of these metrics. I love these year over year percentages because it helps us easily identify, hey, are we performing better? Are we performing a little worse? If I'm the CEO, and you can kind of see right down here, very quickly, my revenue manager sends this over to me. I take a look at it and I say, well, lots of green, a little bit of red right there in January, February, and March. What could we have done differently? And now you have talking points and you can plan for the upcoming year as well. Obviously, we're talking January, February, March. We can't correct things in the past, but we can set ourselves up for success going in the future. So if you pull in here and you see January, February, and March perform less than it did before with RevPAR, then you need to make some adjustments. As an example, if this were red, let's say in February, the CEO could look at it and say, hey, our pacing looks really good. Our revenue's on top everywhere. But for some reason, RevPAR is going down. Occupancy's up. If we looked over here, occupancy would be up. There's got to be something there. Can we target some weekdays? And all of a sudden you have something very actionable out of just a quick report. This is one of the ones that I really like. Again, using it at the high level, think of CEOs, CFOs, any of those types of folks. These are going to be great for. Now, this one is a great template. It's probably my favorite in terms of benefiting you as a revenue manager or a revenue management team, and making your job easier, so to speak. But the leaderboard essentially is going to look at every property you've got in your system, and it's going to look at our occupancy numbers, total revenue, RevPAR, and it's going to be broken down by that listing, at the listing level, so to speak. This is absolutely great for revenue managers, but I also wanted to point out, because a lot of you all will have extra people in your company. Some of the folks in here in the webinar are going to have business development reps, owner relations reps, things like that. So I wanted us to look at this through the lens of strengthening your owner relations. So I've come into my leaderboard, and again, it's now broken down instead of by month, it's broken down by the actual unit. And then I'm also looking at this year, and I'm looking, as you can see, January 1st through December 31st. Now, what I've done here, and the reason I've got this arrow pointed is because I hit this filter button right here, or I'm sorry, the sort button, and I sorted by who's performing the best occupancy wise. So right here, just in time, is it 60% occupancy? I come look right over here and I see the total revenue is right over $1,000. It's outperforming last year, same time. Pretty good number that I've got to go over and get to, because I got to go from $1,000 as of right now. I got to get to $14,000 essentially to meet my year end goal, because this total revenue last year is that final total revenue same time last year, STLY, means that I'm performing better than I did. I'm pacing better right now, but I still have a long way to go. Well, that's good insight. Got a long way to go here, but I can look over here and I can see, man, I'm performing really well right here. So for this Win in Rome property for this year, I'm currently at $65,000. As of this time last year, I was at $12,000. I'm extremely close to my year end goal. And the way I'm kind of looking at this is saying, hey, if we're performing this well, I should reach out to this owner and say, hey, we're pacing way ahead. We're going to crush next year's goals. Do you have any friends? This is a good tool for you to use, not only to make sure that you're staying on top of the performance, staying on top of your overall revenue generation, but also finding little spots that you might be able to help grow your business as well. Now, Riverjoy Lodge right here, number 6, if we cut all the way across, they're at $104,000 in bookings right now versus $33,000 at the same time last year. Now, obviously, we still have a long way to go from 104,000 to get to 224, but you could take a look and make the assumption that, hey, we're probably going to crush that. Does my, Riverjoy Lodge, do those folks have anybody else that may want some property management from me? So let's take a look next. And we've got the leaderboard, and I've switched it up a little bit. So I've just selected the next month. And unfortunately, this was built out a little while ago. So we're looking at the month of February. So February 1st through February 28th is what that next month populated. And I can see that Yogi's Retreat right here, after sorting my occupancy highest to lowest, is at almost 90% occupancy. My total revenue is at $7,700 for the month of February. Last year, well, clicked too far over. Sorry, guys. Last year, this one right here in column I finished the month of February at $3,400. So I doubled their revenue in the month of February at Yogi's Retreat. Sky's the limit right below it. We finished at $11,000, or we're at $11,000 for this month. And then we've already surpassed last year. Again, super easy now for us to look at and say, hey, you got any friends that we could reach out to? Hey, would you be willing to give us testimonials? Once you start identifying this, you can really improve your communication with your homeowners and start really impacting your business outside of just revenue and things like that. So now the next one, let's look at it. I'm painting a pretty picture right now and saying, hey, everything's good right now. But let's take a look at that opposite side of it, because we want to be able to identify underperformers very quickly as well. I don't have the arrows up here, but you can see done the next month filter. That's populating February for this time period. And I've gone in and I've sorted my occupancy same time last year, year over year difference, and I've sorted it lowest to highest. So Saddle Lodge is performing about 50% less when it comes to that occupancy. Not dying totally on revenue, but this helps me see where I have an opportunity, helps me see where I might need to make a tweak to my rates, or preferably to your minimum length of stay first off, but it gives you so much insight very, very quickly. So now, you can grant access to your revenue managers, grant access to your owner relations team, whoever it is that you want to be able to access these reports. Now you can help with a little bit of accountability as well. Say an owner relations person takes a look at this report. Hey, you're killing it, but I've got some of my newer properties that are kind of underperforming. Can we take a look at those? And now you have somebody that's got some extra eyes, able to help your revenue management team, or your revenue manager is able to easily identify opportunities prior to anybody having to reach out and being like, hey, what's the issue? So I think this is a great example of using the leaderboard well. The next template that we're going to talk about, and after I talk about this one, I'm going to pause for a second and see if we've got any questions. But the next one that I want to talk about is our segment occupancy pacing. And essentially what this is, if you've got a lot of properties, if you're a property management company, chances are you're probably going to have multiple different groups that you could use or segments. So, I always say I'm wearing my Lady Vols stuff up here, but I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. Gatlinburg, the Smoky Mountains is really close to me. It's important to be able to look at your properties at a very different view. So, hey, I want to see how my 4 bedrooms are performing. That's a great view. But how are your 4 bedrooms in Gatlinburg performing versus your 4 bedrooms in Pigeon Forge versus your 4 bedrooms in Blue Ridge, Georgia versus your 4 bedrooms in Orlando, Florida? This is where segment occupancy helps you identify where you might have a market issue. This, to me, coming from the revenue management side, is also very beneficial because now you can tell, hey, is this something that I need to have a broader conversation about? It's important for revenue managers to have, those revenue meetings and emails. This one in particular can help you start off by having really efficient meetings, identifying something that, hopefully the broader team sees as well. Let's just take a look real quick. So what I've done, I've gone in here, and again, keep in mind, this has been built out a little while ago. So what we're looking at is the next 3 months filter, and that was for January through March. So this is in the past, but we're pretending it's in the future for now. So what I've done, I've gone in here and I sorted the city name alphabetically because I wanted to see it that way. And then I came in and I sorted the bedroom count category as well. Took out anything that was above a 5 or I'm sorry, anything that was above a 7 bedroom. I filtered out. So that's why you've got some filters set up there. But I can look at this now very quickly and say, hey, Big Canoe, 4 bedrooms, occupancy's killing it, doing well. 3 bedrooms, killing it. 5 bedrooms, killing it. 2 bedrooms, killing it. You can see very quickly, Big Canoe's performing exceptionally well, extremely well in the 6 bedroom category. So if I look at how I've performed in January, those 6 bedrooms are booming. Helps me understand my market a little bit better. Also might help me identify, if I'm in the middle of January and I sort this way and I see that my occupancy is that great, there's probably an opportunity for me to tweak my rates or my minimum length of stay to capitalize a little bit more. That's, of course, conjecture without knowing exactly what I'm looking at, but this can help you identify very, very swiftly where you might have an area that needs your attention or where you might need some marketing push. Any of that kind of stuff, you can start to learn a little bit more about it. So just from this view in particular, Big Canoe 6 bedrooms are by far our best performers right now. If I'm having a meeting with my team, I can go in and highlight that, hopefully show some killer reservations that have come in. And then on the other side, I can look at it and say, hey, Blue Ridge is okay. It's not performing terribly. These are very small negative percentages, just kind of pacing behind, so to speak. Maybe you dive in a little bit deeper and you realize, hey, the booking window's changed. So I'm not really that bad off, so to speak. The booking window compressed from 45 days to it's more of like a 25-day type of a place now. You could look at this and identify that pretty easily and quickly by seeing all the Blue Ridge is kind of following the same pattern. But I think it's very clear Blue Ridge 5 bedrooms for January needs a little bit of extra love. Maybe it's Blue Ridge, those 5s are just a little bit too expensive, but now I can see it. Make some very easy choices and very easy decisions based off your segment this way. For those that use Price Labs and really, really like to use the group functionality, which I am a huge proponent of, if you have more than 25 properties, I'm a big proponent of using groups when you can. This can help you identify if maybe you have something that may be wrong with your setup. If you were looking at this and saying, okay, Blue Ridge right here, everything's kind of down, but everything else is great. I go look at my settings. Hey, I put something in there for Blue Ridge like 6 months ago and totally forgot about it. That's lowering my rates. Now I can easily identify I need to go check there. I love that part about this one. And just a little bit extra of a dive in. This one is following the same. We're looking at that next 3 month filter, but it's for January through March. Instead of filtering it this way and keeping it alphabetically, I'm sorting it now by who's the who's performing the least, so to speak. So I can see my 1 bedrooms in Cherry Log for January need immediate attention. But if I look over here, there's a lot of different things that you can pick up on as well. So let's pretend in this situation that today, instead of being August 6th, is January 6th. So if I'm sitting here on January 6th and I'm looking at this, I'm saying, wow, January is going to be tough. I need to make some plans. I'm going to make some adjustments, right? I can look here and say, all right, everything's like for February, I'm performing a little bit better. There's some more green in here. Clearly, I could hit the Mineral Bluff 5 bedrooms. I could hit the Morganton 4 bedrooms. I could hit this one right here, the Elijah 25%. I know I need to go start looking at February there. But hey, I don't necessarily need to tweak my March, so to speak. My March is performing pretty well. This is the kind of insight you can get. So Elijah 6 bedrooms, down January, up February, crazy down in March. Probably need to go in and make a tweak on this one. Kind of the same thing. We're looking right here at Mineral Bluff 2s, down in January, kind of up in February, down a significant amount in March. Not sitting here saying you're going to be able to just go and say, oh, it's down 15%. Let me get, lower my rates. But it helps you identify super quickly. The larger portfolio you have, the less you want to have to focus on in your daily routine. This helps you really target where you're actually going to be going for it. All right, so got a little pause break now. Let's see if we got any questions in here. Pull up Q&A. Chris says, I am assuming that occupancy includes owner stays. That is correct, Chris. So in the calculations, when we see occupancy in price slabs, that is the total occupancy that we're looking at, and that does include blocks. If you don't want blocks included, you have an extra metric, and I'll bring this up and show you when I start looking at crafting the custom reports. You would want to use the adjusted occupancy. Adjusted occupancy takes those blocks out and recalibrates the occupancy calculation. So if we're looking at the month of July, you have 31 days available during or for the usual occupancy calculation. Let's say you get 15 of them booked. You have 15 divided by 31, you're at 45-ish% occupancy or whatever. On adjusted paid occupancy, let's say 10 of those days are blocked by an owner, that 31 would now become 21, and that would be divided by 15, and you'd be at an adjusted occupancy of more around 75-80%. To me, that's the best way to look at your occupancy number, is changing it to adjusted occupancy, if you want to get really deep in there. All right, let's see what else we got. Chris says, we use owner-res and have close to 100 properties. Is there a way to only have rental revenue in the revenue reports? Yes, and Chris, I'll get there. Let me make sure I take a note of this so that I can cover exactly how you do it. But when we get in here in just a second and I start showing you how to custom build one out, you have full reign in what you want. And it's broken down very simply for you, where it's like, okay, these are the rental metrics, these are the occupancy metrics, these are your market percentile metrics, things like that. So we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. Right. So now the next one I want to look at, and this is the last template we're going to look at, this is called opportunities. Some folks, whenever I show them this, they don't have a lot of opportunities that are visible. You won't see a lot in here if you are very, very unrestricted with your minimum length of stay. Like if you run 1-night minimum lengths or 2-night minimum lengths most of the time, you're not going to see a ton of incredibly useful information in here. You will see it with blocks though. So if you have nights that are available, nights that are blocked, or something wrong with your setup, like let's say you've got a bunch of orphan gaps that are 2 nights available, but you won't go down to 2 nights, you're only going to 3 nights, we're going to present to you with a dollar value what that could potentially cost you, so to speak. So this helps us identify untapped revenue potential. Let's take a quick gander here. So again, my apologies, but next 3 months, we're looking at January through March. What I've done is I've gone in here and I have hit sort highest to lowest on the blocked dates, potential revenue. Block dates is exactly what it sounds like. It's a block because of maintenance, an owner stay, anything like that, where you've gone in and said, my calendar is not open here. This also reflects if you have, there's a lot of folks that would like to, only have 3 to 6 months available on their calendar. If you only have 6 months available on your calendar and this is sorted to being a full year, you would see that value in here for block dates as well. But this helps you see how much money you could potentially be missing out on. It's really important to understand that this can benefit you in the long run greatly. I think we all know, homeowners, it's their home. They should be able to stay whenever they want. But man, if you come with some data and you can say, hey, I know you want to come in on spring break, but I can get potentially $9,000 for that stay. If you could come the next week, I could get you probably another $5,000 or $6,000 on your bottom line. Coming armed with this ahead of time can be really useful. So what I've done, we look block dates. Great Escape Big Canoe is the big one that's got a lot of blocks in it. But now, and my apologies, if you look down here at the bottom, I'm pretending to be the revenue manager. I said that's a lot of opportunity. But let's narrow it down and look at spring break and see who really has those opportunities. So what I've done, I did a custom one, and I went from March 7th to March 16th. And again, I sorted this by highest to lowest. And now I can see the ones that truly have a huge impact that they can make just for spring break. Now, if I'm looking at this in January, I can hit up my owner at Gleason Inn, say, hey, I understand that you may be coming for spring break. It may also just be blocked. Right now, we're looking at potentially being able to get you, $3,000 to $4,000, and I don't know that I would say $4,393 in bookings, but you can look at that and use the number and basically say, hey, we could get you even more money to your bottom line. This also helps you identify for those conversations with your team. If you're on a large revenue management team, we need to go ahead and talk to Gleason Inn. Unfortunately, they've got all their big dates blocked. Here's the dollar value to it. I don't see a path for us to beat to beat last year's numbers. A lot of insights can be gained here. Next thing for us to look at right here, you've seen I've switched this to May 7th through May 16th, or sorry, March 7th through March 16th. And I've highlighted a couple of other ones in here as well. So we talked about these block dates. Block dates are physical blocks on your calendar. These unbookable dates, though, that is where you may have a restriction that's not allowing it. So let's say you're in a market where you typically have like a Saturday to Saturday check-in. Somebody comes in and takes part of it or something like that. And now all of a sudden there's no way for them to check in on a Saturday. This can help you identify where that's at. This can also help you identify where somebody's minimum length of stay restriction might be preventing them from getting a booking. And that's exactly what this one is on Lookout Lodge. So they only accept 3 nights as a minimum. It's a homeowner that says, I don't want 2 nights or 1 night. It's going to cause chaos. It's going to damage my house. I want 3 nights. Well, now I can look at it and say, okay, you've gotten 5 nights booked for spring break. You have 2 extra nights that are just sitting there. I can get you $500 extra if you let me sell just those 2 nights. You don't have to go to 2 nights all the time, but this is a high value week. Please let me have those 2. Again, a lot of conversations, a lot of communication between people, but you come armed with actual knowledge and actual beneficial numbers for you. One other one to look at is this column B. That's available in bookable dates and your potential revenue. So this is essentially saying Gleason Inn for March 7th through March 16th had, based on our calculations, about $1,700 that could have been booked that was still available, not necessarily blocked or unbookable, but it's sitting there available. This helps you in that sense. Now, I will say on this calculation is based off of Price Labs' kind of original algorithmic calculation based off your base price. So this is going to be I'm trying to think of the word for it, kind of like more so an average than a specific exact number. Use this column directionally, whereas column C and column D is a little bit more accurate number, so to speak. Not that you can't trust this one, but because we can't sit there and be like, okay, Gleason Inn has all these settings and go through that whole process, so to speak. We do use our base algorithm to calculate this column here. Right. Now, a little bit more about this opportunities one. Again, minimum stay rules. Sometimes you got homeowners that have a bunch of them. Sometimes you may miss a change in the market, but now we can kind of see this. I've sorted again the highest numbers to the lowest numbers. I can see out of my listings in here, I've only got a few that have some unbookable dates, but now I know where I need to go look. Southern Star right here has more value and unbookable dates for the spring break period than they do for bookable dates. That's a conversation that needs to be had. Whether it's owner relations or revenue manager or whoever, somebody has that conversation. All of a sudden you could fix this and, really, really make a little bit extra money on there. Wind Down Ridge, still plenty of availability, but maybe this unbookable date's just something that, could be attached to a previous booking or something like that. You can find those extra little ancillary places to make money. And this to me is probably the best part of Report Builder in terms of adding money to your bottom line. I think the leaderboard is probably the best one for being able to do a revenue management job or get really good kind of granular insights into properties. All right, so we've hit the 30-minute mark. I'm gonna take a sip of water real quick because I'm quite parched and have talked a ton. But at this point in time, before I get ready and we start going live, does anybody have any follow-up questions you'd like for me to cover? And if not, it's no problem whatsoever, but I'll start going live here in just one moment. All right, don't see a question popping up, so let's go. All right, so the first thing that we're going to cover before I actually get in and share my screen and us going live. There's times when you were doing analysis and you're looking at it and, hey, my numbers are growing and I look great. My revenue looks great. Everything's up, RevPAR's up. And then somebody hits you with, well, yeah, but we've added 20 listings to that total. So it's not really a full picture. That is a huge issue when it comes to reporting. You want to be able to report apples to apples, so to speak. So one of the newer things that we've come up with as a filter is the first reservation date. So essentially what we can do, you can look at your whole portfolio, but you can also look at it and say, hey, I only want to see the units and compare the units that I've had in my program over X number of days. So essentially what you can do is say, I want to look at my listings that have their very first reservation before January 1st, 2025. That's going to show you every single property that you had last year compared to this year as well. So that's one of the things that we're going to be showing you. And then I'm also going to be showing you how to implement goal tracking by month as well. This is something that, unfortunately, because of the way my demo account's set up, it doesn't look exactly right. But I'm going to show you the process of going through setting your goals if you want to, and then identifying where you can set those goals up in these reports. So we will go live on those two. And then after that, I'm going to show you our chatbot. So I will come back into here. Fortunately, I'm not the best at switching windows and sharing screens, so I'll probably have to do a couple extra clicks and all that. But let's take a look at building out our own reports. So everybody should be able to see me. I'm in Price Labs now. If you're unaware of where we're talking about this area right here. So you've got our dynamic pricing, you've got portfolio analytics, you've got market research, also got a fancy new listing optimizer tool that's in beta right now and will be in everybody's access pretty soon. Really pumped about that one, and I hope you get to watch a webinar with us on those as well. But anyways, custom report builders right here. You can create your own custom report by clicking here if you want to. Brings you to the templates. You can see that you've got my templates and then some made by Price Labs as well if you want to do it that way. Here's where we can go to set up goals. So we'll come back here and take a look at that. Here's where you can define your source if you want to. I'm not going to get into crazy detail on this. If you have further questions about this defining a source for market value, click on there, come take a look at learn more. If you still have questions, reach out to support@pricelabs.co. Somebody will definitely be able to help you with that. I do want you to see this is here. Also want you to see you've got the downloads here as well. So if you ever started to get some downloads automated for you, you will find those right there. But here's where your goal setup is. If you hit upload CSV, it's not going to do anything for you because we got to download that CSV first. Hit download CSV. Should pop up right in your download area for you. That went to my wrong screen. And here we go. So now what you should see is my Excel sheet that's popped up. It comes in and it gives me my listings. As we can see, the listing name, the PMS it's attached to, and then the months. So it's going to do the next 12 months for you. So you can see I started August 25th, go down to July 2026. You have different columns in here, but what I've done, I just went in and put some arbitrary numbers, 4,000 through there, October for this one's going to be a little bit better, but this is how you can build that out. And you've got additional columns as well. So if you have total revenue goal, if you have rental revenue goal, occupancy goals, ADR goals, RevPAR goals, you can add those in there and help with tracking. Now, when those are going to be applied is going to be something I'm going to have to show you real quick. So let me hop out of here. All right. So the first one I want to show you is just us creating a very, very own report with nothing else on it. So you could come in and start with any of these if you want to, but let's just start from scratch. So what I've got now is my header rows. So header rows, I think everybody kind of knows that's going to be the main focus of whatever it is we're looking at. So for the revenue on the books one, that one is going to be your month is going to be what the header was. For the opportunities and for the leaderboard, listings is going to be what your header is for that. So we can see we got listing name, listing. I'm going to create that bad boy. And it's not going to have much of anything in here. So you can see I've just got my names in here right now. And I've got a bunch of options now. So if I want to, I can add some extra layers in here. I can add my groups. I can add my cities, bedroom count, however you want to. You can also break it down by the days if you need to. Any of those options are there for you. Then the columns are going to be where we get important. So you've got header columns. So what do we want going on kind of across the board? Check that. Let's add bedroom count and see what that looks like. It didn't do much anything for me because we don't have anything else in there. That out. Let's skip that one and head down to your values. So values, and this was where we were talking about you could set up just specifically revenue if you want to. So you have it very easily broken down here. You've got occupancy metrics. If you look at that, you have a ton of metrics. Just that occupancy percentage, you have 18 options of what you could use. Occupancy, same time last year, occupancy goal, that's where your occupancy goal would show up. You also have weekend occupancy right here, weekday occupancy. We've got our market occupancy, market penetration, paid occupancy. So this one is going to be what we were talking about, where you have that adjusted paid occupancy versus total occupancy. If you wanted your blocks to not be included in the occupancy calculation, you'd want to select the paid occupancy option. But you can see you've also got weekend, weekday, all types of good, useful information in here. I'm not going to hit every single one of these, but I do want to kind of just show what we have as a broad view for all of these. So we're looking at the occupancy ones now, plenty of those. We look at booking and length of stay. We've got a whole bunch of here as well. So we can look at booking window. You can look at your number of bookings versus the market's number of bookings. Look at length of stay versus market. Pretty much anything that you may be able to visualize in Price Labs. It's a graph. If you're familiar with neighborhood data, the neighborhood data area within the dynamic pricing tool, you can come in and essentially build out all of those graphs, but have them with numbers instead. So one of them we're talking about, we got revenue here. You can come in and build all of this out for you. You have indexes that are great. These indexes essentially take a look at your, in this sense, ADR versus the market's ADR, and give you a very easy identified number of whether or not you're outperforming the market. If it's a 1 or above, you're outperforming the market. If it's less than 1, you're underperforming the market. Great one there for you. But you have just a plethora in here for you. You also get down past these. You've got price metrics, pickup metrics, and holiday and event data as well. So just looking at the price metrics, you can look at your listing price. So where was my final price today and 1 day ago and 2 days ago versus the market's listed price. So this is where I was talking about, if you've been in neighborhood data, you've got the graphs that show where your rates line up versus the market. Now we can come in and say, okay, well, but what is the market's 25th percentile? And what is the 75th percentile? And what is the 90th percentile? And you can build it out that way. So you have all types of things you can do. You can reorder your columns here. You can also filter to specific criteria here. So you can filter it down to individual listings, specific PMS if you need to, if you're somebody that works on multiple PMS. Tags are huge, groups huge. This one is very, very useful as well if you just want to look at the properties that you're currently pricing in Price Labs. on this listing filter, sync on is very, very useful because that's letting you look at just the ones that you're currently pricing. Now, we mentioned this one, and that is the first reservation date. So essentially, this first reservation date, I'm going to hit before, and let's just go ahead and I'm going to build something out real quick. Let's go to 2024, November 21st. So November 21st of 2024, well, one, that was my 9-year anniversary. So thank you for remembering that date pretty easily. But now essentially what I'm saying is I only want to filter to properties that existed in my portfolio before the 21st of November last year. So it's a very good apples to apples comparison. You're not looking at properties that have come into your program since then. One thing that you could do, and I would say this is beneficial for you, look at it this way with before, and then when you're done looking at it that way, we'll do one, save as a new filter, say first res or 1121. You save that way, and then you could build out another one that's, okay, now let's look at them after this as well. So now I'm looking at just the stuff that came after November 21st. The more that you get used to saving some of these filters, the better your life's going to be. And that's not just for this particular area. This is advice for all throughout Price Labs. Anywhere where you're able to filter, which is here, it's going to be here at multi-calendar, it'll be here at pricing dashboard. Anytime you use filters, practice saving some of them because you can make some you can get some really good insights in there. So that's just a little tip from me. But now we can see this is a very, very different layout for what I've had. Now I'm looking at pricing and seeing how different it is. And I can look at High Vista and say, woo, buddy, I'm 366. All right, so between the 75th and 90, that's still a little high. I want to be a little bit more towards this. You can go and make an adjustment that way if you want to. You can also see the progression of how your rates have changed. So right here, Park Haven, bringing the rate down a little bit faster. Right here, I can see Dogwood actually went up in price a little bit. Just very nice, easy for your team to identify what might be happening with the rates, what's going on with demand in the area, what's happening, with the 7-day pickup. Pickup is huge. It's a great metric to look at. And I would suggest everybody come in and take a look at these. This is going to be how many, over X number of days, what has changed in the market. So if we're looking at book nights, over the last 7 days, there have been 10,000 nights booked. Over the last 7 days for occupancy, market occupancy has grown 10%. My occupancy has grown 8%. That lets me know that I'm not doing quite as well as the market during a specific period, particularly the last 7 days. Now you can easily identify you might want to tweak it. Whew. All right, so now I'm ready to go into a different one. So you can go in here, build it out however you want. If you have any questions while you're on this webinar, please throw them in the Q&A. More than happy to look at this with you guys. But if something comes up as you build this after our call, reach out to support@pricelabs.co. Everybody on our team is trained in this tool and will be able to help you out with it. And you won't have to wait very long for assistance either. The next one I want us to look at is how about let's build one off of another one. So I've got a couple of options. I can hit create report here. I can also, if I'm in one of these, let's just say I'm starting off with the leaderboard one, I'm able to hit right here, duplicate and edit. So either way, you can build it however you want. If you're in a leaderboard and you're like, man, that's a really good one, but I wish I had pickup metrics. I wish I had the 75th, the 90th, and the 25th percentile. Now you can build it off of what you've got. So it's taking a little bit to load because I got lots of data. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this duplicate and edit, change this and say, leaderboard, wish I could type. So now I've got the starting point as this leaderboard that's predefined for you, but I know I want to come in here and add some other things to it. So one of the first ones I mentioned, I won't pick up, and I want to see over the last 7 days, what does pickup look like? And then I want to see same time last year as well, what it looked like. So has something changed in this market? I'm going to add those to it. And then just for fun, let's throw some events in here as well, yeah, I think that's good. And because I'm throwing some, let's actually leave events out. That one's not going to help me quite as much. Let's look at some length of stay trends. Length of stay trends would be a good one. Length of stays for booking. Let's look at the median and the average. And then let's look at the market average and the market median. And hit save changes. And now I have, obviously I'd want you to do a little bit more due diligence with these metrics and identify the ones that really, really work for you. But now you can see how quickly you can really customize this, make it your own, and put what matters to you in there. And it's not just adding on to it. You can come in there and take it off too. So if there's something in here that is not important to you, like maybe I just don't really, I love market penetration index. So don't ever take market penetration index off. It's a great tool, but let's just do it for this one. Turn that off. You can do the same thing. It's not stuck in there, so to speak. You're going to be able to change it however you want. So I've done save changes. Let's hit view full report now and just see how it's a little bit different. Give this one moment to load up. Wish I had the Jeopardy theme song for you guys to listen to instead of silence. All right, so now we're good to go. See, we still have those same metrics. We're looking at occupancy, we're looking at total revenue, looking at RevPAR, and then I get over here and I can see what it was that I was looking at. So book nights pick up. I'm at 10 for this one. Last year during this time, I had 0. That's great to see. Median length of stay versus the market, or I'm sorry, I've got these. I need to rearrange these, so to speak, but we can see the differences. So median length of stay versus market, I'm underperforming. Maybe I could change things up. Who knows? Maybe that's just what's happening with my properties. And I can see my average length of stay versus the market's average length of stay. These zeros in here, let's ignore those for now, just because this is a dummy account, so to speak. But you can see what I'm talking about. Very easily identify where you might have something that's different from the market. Most of the times, in my opinion, you may be winning if you have something like this, but it's good to know, hey, am I winning or am I losing when I have something that's different? Very easy for you to identify there. All right, so real quick, let's head back here and let's talk about the next thing that Price Labs is bringing out for you for our report builder, and that is going to be our chatbots. Let me get over here. Present. This was what I was talking about. You're probably gonna have to deal with me clicking a little bit. So sorry about that. All right. So we looked at those reports and there's a lot of information in them, and you can do some things very easily by filtering and sorting and changing around the look. But sometimes there's a lot of information in there. And, I've worked with some customers that have literally built out a report that has like 100 different fields across it. That's going to be really painstaking for you to have to go through each line by line. The more that you have, the harder it is to kind of interpret. So one of the things we're looking at doing is bringing in, some of this AI chatbot energy that's out in the world right now to help with this report builder and help understand it, interpret it in a much quicker way. So again, the pain that we're trying to solve for here is reports can be overwhelming. We're trying to help with report builder by taking it back to Excel, making it easy for you to sort and filter, but there's always an opportunity that you might overlook something. This chatbot's going to help with time and analyzing it that way. Not everybody's going to want to use it, but some people will, and it'll be very beneficial for them. So this is something that I think would be really useful for your folks that may not do data analysis all the time. If you have an owner relations manager or a business development rep that wants to get in and look at numbers, this is going to be very beneficial for them to help them quickly identify what might be winning and what might not be. Basically what it is you're going to be typing your question and quickly summarize the data, highlight what matters. And right now it's also telling you kind of the thought process of how it's achieving that goal. So ultimately what we want to do is make this more simple for everybody, help everybody save time, ultimately make more money. So just kind of a quick view of it real quick. We're not going to do this live because it is in beta testing. There's a couple of people that have access with it right now that are helping us with it. We do want you all to eventually be on our beta test and give this chatbot a try. So if you have interest in doing that, reach out to us at support@pricelabs.co, and we'll put you on that list. Shouldn't be long before we give everybody access to it, but this is kind of what we're working on now. So up in that top right corner, I think you might have seen it on my screen. You won't see it on yours, but there'll be an AI Insights button, a beta right here. Brings up the little chat bot, says, hey, how can we do blah, blah, blah. We say, summarize the top 5 key takeaways from this report. So what it does, it looks at all of this, and we don't have the full answer here, but we can see the first answer is, here are your top revenue groups. And saying the top 5 groups for your average total revenue are those that are my guy Tebow's properties, but Bram Gork, Stadsvilla, Tilburg Central Station, and you see what we're talking about. So, very, very quickly, the CEO can hop in there and say, hey, where are we performing well? Hey, where are we not performing well? If you're starting to get into prompt engineering, if you're using ChatGPT, Gemini, any of those types of tools, the better you are with your prompt, the better output that you're going to get. But while we're doing this beta testing, we're trying to make this as easily accessible and useful as absolutely possible for you. So we're trying every week. We want real feedback. So if you do want any early access to this, let us know, and we'll grant access as soon as we possibly can. Now, with that said, have I reached the end? I think I reached the end. So we are done with all of our slides, pretty much done with the presentation. I want to give us some time. We've got 8 minutes left technically. If you don't mind, I'd love for you to stick around and ask some questions if you have them. If you don't, it's been wonderful with you guys, but we'll stick around here for a minute or two, see if any questions come in. We'll creep on y'all in the chat for a second. Rafael answered a question. Nice. Let's see what we got here. Tyler, if you don't mind, if you don't mind, in the chat, can you send us your the email address that you use to log into Price Labs, and we'll have it added that way. That way you don't have to reach out to our support team or anything. Perfect. All right. Just another minute or two. Does anybody have a question or anything about what we've gone over? Any inputs, any suggestions for what you would like to see out of Report Builder? If you have any suggestions that you've been in there and you don't really know, let us know. If you will, put it in the Q&A for me. Costa, I see you've raised your hand. Fortunately, I can't call on you with the way we've got this set up. So if you put it in as a Q&A, I would greatly appreciate that. Give us just another moment. I appreciate everybody sticking around with us. Didn't lose very many people in here today, but I do appreciate it. So it doesn't look like anybody has any questions. Thank you all so much for joining us today. If you do have any questions that come up in your process of figuring this out, reach out to support@pricelabs.co. We'll be absolutely happy to help you. On behalf of Rafal and Miradul, I'm Kyle. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a great time. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye. Have a great day.